Aloha Friday, everybody. Thank you for being with me one more evening, Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's so happy. I'm so happy to have Solita Roberts with me tonight because we're going to be talking about something that I love myself, which is style, fashion, and all the things. Hey, I wear my Aloha shirts. Obviously, it's part of the theme. And she's gone tropical too. So thank you, Salita, for being with me tonight on Aloha Friday Live. And I can't wait to talk about style.
Me too. Thank you very much for having me. I tried as much as I can to dress with the theme, just going with my solid and then just kind of like styling it with this. Just, go with the theme. When you have theme
But
parties, you have to make sure that you're fitting in and you showing up as your authentic self as best as you can. And this is my best Hawaiian look. So thanks for having
hey,
me. I appreciate it.
hey, mahalo.
Mahalo.
With your
I
thank
was
you.
trying to remember. I was watching a show and that's what Mahalo. And I was like, oh, I don't know what it is, but I didn't want to say it and then,
That's
offend
thank you.
anyone.
That's thank you. That's thank you.
Yes, yes, Mahalo.
But so it's funny. We was chatting right before the show about a little bit of history on mine, right? Because
Yeah,
I've done style more like dress for success is what I've been after here the last maybe 5 years or so since post service, and I've taught a couple of classes on dress for success. I get all gussied up, how we say gussy, head to
yeah,
toe. You look
yeah.
like $1 million, and but we were conversating about military
Yes.
and even in the midst of where uniformity it's the word of the day. Everybody is in uniform.
Yeah.
Nobody's outdoing anybody as far as what the uniform is.
Yeah.
But even in uniform, I managed to stand out, right? Yeah, I would have my creases so crispy that you would see them. You run your finger on and you get cut, right?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and even in uniforms that were day-to-day working uniforms, I mean, they were meant to get dirty. I
Yeah.
still would have my creases in them things, and some people would say, yo, okay, man, you're going a little too far, and some others were like, that's what I'm talking about right there. Pride in uniform, even when it's working, and the type that you just get dirty in. So uh first of all, thank you. Second of all, tell us a little bit about you and the style stuff so we can get into this.
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking of that military uniform and just how you have your crease and everything going. But we'll talk about that later.
Mhm.
So as I said, thank you very much for having me. For those of you who are, meeting me for the first time, obviously first time being on your channel as well. I'm Salida Roberts. I'm an image coach and personal stylist and the founder of Style to Impact. So I like to say in just one sentence, as clear as possible, what is it that I do? I help you get more out of your wardrobe. That's basically it in a nutshell. So getting more out of your wardrobe would be you lack confidence and you need that confidence in yourself to show
Right.
up. You need a wardrobe that gets you to the next level. So you're a growth focused entrepreneur, uh, professional, and you're looking to take yourself to the next level, and you're looking at all parts of your executive presence, which is from how you speak, how you show up, and your appearance as well, right? And you need that extra help to be able to get you over the hump. So that's basically what I do, help you get more out of the wardrobe, making sure that you have those fundamental pieces, which at the
Right.
end of the day, not only are they impactful to how you feel about yourself and how you show up, but they're authentic to you. And I like what you said there with, even though you're wearing a uniform, you made it authentic to you. And that's the most important thing, right? Even if you're wearing a uniform, is how can you make it authentic to you? So that's what I help my clients with.
Well, some people think that, hey, you got to go beyond what you already have.
Yeah.
And it's just like any tool, right? Any tool. You could, if you know how to use a tool, you don't need to go buy a new one.
No.
And a lot of people go out and invest and just throw money at it helped the economy, but it may not help you so much. Because if you know how to use what's in your wardrobe now, and you know how
Exactly.
to combine the stuff, you could get a lot of mileage out of what you have already.
Exactly. I mean, when we're talking about having a functional wardrobe or having a wardrobe that you can show up as your best self in, it doesn't mean buying more pieces, right? It means knowing how to shop, being strategic, knowing what that personal style is, and as you said, knowing how to reuse the pieces that you have to create a different look. I'm gonna give you an example. I think everybody here is gonna be like, "Whoa!" So looking at the front, you're thinking, "Oh, that's a nice scarf," right? Is that something where you're thinking?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to show you something. I'm going to reveal myself to the audience. It's actually a hair tie. So you can put it on your hair and have that little scrunchy thing going on. But I am reworking it. Now I'm at home. You're not going to see this because it's in the
Right.
back, unless I did what I just did.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So, but I've also worn this with a blazer and you cannot see what's happening. So it's being strategic in one, understanding what your personal style is. What are some of the things that you want to wear that makes you feel confident, that makes you feel great about yourself, that bring out that internal confidence on the outside, and then you buy the pieces that you need, investing in the right pieces. Because if you're just going out there and say, okay, yeah, I need to work on my personal style, right? And that means more clothes. No. If that's something that you're doing, it doesn't mean more. It just means better and being more intentional about what you're wearing, the message that you're sending, and how you want to show up.
Yeah, I tell you, there's my closet looks like Men's Warehouse. I'm not good. I'm
Yeah,
telling you
I remember
what.
you saying that. I'm like, I need
I walked in and I'm like, what did I do?
to.
Because wall to wall, it looks like a bookcase full of nothing but suits and vests and blazers and slacks and we go, pants are hung up long ways all the way out, color coded. I'm a mess.
But those are all things that you love, right?
Right.
But most of the times when, especially the women that I work with, is that okay, they're trying to find their personal style, they're trying to figure out what that is, right? And how to really use it as a tool to help them in their career and their business. And they think, okay, you know what, this is the new style or the new trend for this season. I need to go and buy that. Whatever is the it trend, whatever is that hot piece, and buy it and put it on, okay, they take it home, put it in their closet. And what they're doing is stockpiling things that they hope to wear one day. Or, you get home and they're like, oh, I don't think I like this anymore. Whereas if you're strategic, first of all, defining who are you? How do you want to represent yourself? How do you want to show up? Why is it important? Then you can have a closet that looks like men's men's warehouse if all those pieces in there are things that you love and you wear on a consistent basis. So the first thing I say, don't go buying everything and you just because you want it to look like a boutique. But when you do develop your personal style and you want to add more pieces, if it feels great and it helps you to have 10 white shirts, go for it. Not that you need it, but because you're going to be wearing these shirts. It's what you love. It's part of your personal style. It's part of you. So go for it. But first, define it. Define it
Uh,
for yourself.
well, let's get a little into the background of how you got to this, right? Because I grew up in my house that if my mom sent me to the store, you was not gonna catch. And at that time in my life, I was called by Rick, right? Because I was in the Bronx. Rick was the thing. It wasn't Enrique. It was Rick, and you couldn't catch Rick outside looking no kind of way, right? So I would go to the store, but I'd be like decked out. And so, how did you start off in your journey concerning style?
I grew up with my grandmother, and
Well, it looks like, excuse me, Salita, it looks like there's a couple of technical issues. But
You're
I got to the point where you was growing with your grandmother, but it's kind of frozen on your end, and so I'm gonna keep going until you come back in. But let me know when you're ready on your side, folks. We're talking about leadership and style, and what we were discussing before the show was, uh, that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, and I was referring to earlier being in the military. In the military, you don't have to worry about what you're gonna wear. There's a uniform for everything. But what separates uh, a person that is taking attention to detail from the person that is not is the uniform and how you present it, right? So, and just in that kind of theme, you even in a organization where things are standard, you could differentiate yourself from the rest of the group simply by how you take care of what you're wearing. And a simple, nice crease, nice, starch, and you know who takes care of what based on how you look at it. But we're gonna continue on, uh, and, and there's still some issues there, but that's fine, because we'll continue. Yeah, whenever you're ready, Solita, on your end, you can hop back in. Yeah, it seems it's still a little frozen. I don't know if that's something on my end, if it's something on your end, but talk and continuing on the style thing. We were talking about closets and things in the closets, and yeah, I have over the years bought many pieces. But as you had said, Salita, it's something that I enjoy. I enjoy dressing up right, and I think a nice suit looks great on a gentleman. And I've done a lot of investing in that. But for the sake of that, hey, as a leader, somebody that speaks, somebody that's always in front of a group of people, it would make sense to me that I would try to bring the best version of myself to the group. And in that is how you dress. It also makes a lot of sense when you're talking about how you feel. Now, some people feel great in flip flops, shorts, and a t shirt. Back in Hawaii, I felt like that. You feel great. But when you're talking about presenting yourself in terms of being a leader, then that may require you to do a couple of other things uh in terms of dress, right? So it's one of those things that you want to consider, a nice wardrobe, something that will help out in your. And let me bring you back in. Let me see that. Yeah.
As I said, apparently, because I haven't used the system for a while, technology decided that it's going to act up. I'm like, what's happening?
That's
So I
fine.
sincerely apologize.
No, you're good. I was just going on, and you see on my end, I have some level of a freeze here and there myself. So, but
Like,
it happens. It's about that time where everybody comes home and gets on on the internet.
yeah, I was like so mad. I was like, what is happening? Like, because usually I have like my Wi-Fi and my hotspot on my phone, like everything is set up. I'm like, why is it that I'm having a problem today? But the conversation was so great. Oh my
No,
gosh.
no. I'm doing my own, freezing on my end, so no worries. But I was just going and saying that it's important at the leadership level to consider the where, right? What you have, how you present yourself. It doesn't have to be a three-piece suit. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be, overly expensive. I've gotten some of my best pieces online for like $30, right?
Yeah.
And I still wear the smack out of that thing. So just talking about that.
But and this is when we think about leadership, right? And this is why I think leadership and personal style is so important, because when we think of leadership, we're thinking about persons that are inspiring, they're influencing, they're motivating, they're building communities, they're uplifting those persons around them. And you have to carry yourself in a way that does all of that, right? Be able to do all of that. And as you said, it's not about buying an expensive piece. You can get really good pieces for really affordable prices. But it's understanding, how do I want to present myself? Like, what is the message that whatever I'm wearing right now is sending? And is this in line with how I want to be perceived, right? You have to define for yourself if the way you're showing up right now is able to do all those things as a leader, where you're inspiring those around you to want it more, to uplifting themselves, to showing up. So yeah, it's not about the price tag. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, when the higher you go, the better fit you get. You don't have to do a lot on it, but start with, for me, the best advice I would say, start with where you are at the moment in terms of your budget, and try and get the best quality for what you have.
Yeah, getting the best out of your money is one of the best one of the best things you can do,
Yeah.
because it doesn't take that much to look good. And that, I'm, I'm over here laughing at my freeze.
Oh no, yeah, it's like, why we're doing aloha, people? Come on. I don't know. I think LinkedIn. So earlier today, I don't know if you were on it. LinkedIn for creators. So they were sharing the 5 things that creators need to know, and they were having the same problem as well, right? So I think the platform is now, it's now everyone is on the platform trying to build a community and really get their message out there. So the bandwidth may not be there to withstand and accommodate all these conversations. So I it's sad when you're not able to have the dialogue and the conversations just kind of move smoothly. But we're in that stage where we're trying to figure out technology, right? And we're trying to make the best of it. So I apologize, on behalf of everyone, if you're tuning in and you're watching the replay and this wasn't as clear. Promise you can message both of us if there's anything that you needed clarity on. So, but we're gonna try our best.
Oh no, yeah, we're gonna press on. That's the way we do. Well,
Exactly.
so I had asked about earlier. How did this start for you? And you mentioned you grew up with your grandmother, and that's about as far as we got. But I'll let you give you
Oh,
another opportunity to share that.
oh, yes, yes, yes. So what I was saying is that, so I grew up with my grandmother and an aunt. And my grandmother was in that mindset that whenever you leave home, you have to make sure that you are presenting yourself properly, right? Because coming from that old school, it's like appearance is important and people will judge you on that. And of course, there's that added part that you have to make sure that you're presenting yourself well on behalf of the family. So that was that side of it. But the side that really influenced me developing my personal style and always wanted to like add that little flavor to my outfit, the way I show up, was my aunt. She was someone who, it didn't matter where she was going, she decided what her personal style is and she dressed to the nine, as we will say. Right? She would show up in that room as the best dressed person. Her confidence was always so high, and that's someone I looked up to, right? I remember the first time I thought about wearing heels, that's where I got it from. And to this day, I cannot wear flats. I mean, I will wear them every now and then, but I don't feel confident in it, right? So that's where it started for me. But where it kind of developed, and me seeing the benefits of it in terms of not just my confidence, but what it can do for me in terms of my personal development, and being able to not only start my own business, but also what it did for me in my career, is when I started my first job, right? I could only afford to buy two suits. I kid you not, I bought a suit that was two pinstripe. One was black with white stripe, and one was white with black stripes. Don't ask me why, but I thought that that was going to be it. It was going to look good. And I remember wearing the black and white, like with the tops that I got every single day. And of course, I'm working 5 days a week as a teller, going to work every day. And eventually it was like, the suit was like, okay, we're dying. That's it. And my supervisor at the time, God bless her soul, kind of pulled me aside and said, you have so much potential, but the way you're presenting yourself right now is not really supporting your potential. And that was the day I was like, oh, so there is a link between success and opportunity and the way you present yourself. Like, people pay attention to that. Like, I didn't know that before until I had that moment. So that was the moment that is like, okay, yeah, this appearance thing is important.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to teach a dress for success for veterans. For the it started 5 years ago. It went 2.5 years, and then it dropped off because of an unexpected death in the director of
Oh,
the program, and it kind of went away. But I would always, when we would start the class and the people were in the audience, I would scan the audience,
yeah,
and it was supposed to be to prepare you for an interview, and they came to that place underdressed, and I said, what about if I had a job for you right now?
yeah,
I said, half of you, if it was a corporate job, half of you would not make it, but you're looking for a job today.
yeah,
And so, what I was trying to get at is that you have to be conscious of the situation at hand and how you are going to leverage time, because you're going to be spending time at this place. You're
yeah,
going to be you're there asking for a position that you're not ready to apply for. And so, I taught them the basics, not expensive, don't need to be no money guzzling type of wardrobe or anything, but you have to be conscious of the circumstances that you're going into and the potential outcome of that engagement, so that you could capitalize. I have seen people get hired on the spot because they were ready for those situations.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it says for me what appearance says, right? It's like a filter. That first impression is like a filter. I have no idea when you stepped into a room or you're in a space, persons around you, especially you're not familiar with them and they're not familiar with you. They're using the way that you present yourself as a filter. Are you ready for, as you said, that situation? Are you ready to take on this particular role that I'm looking to fill? Do you look that way? And I think whenever I have more of these conversations, constantly the thing that pop up is like, when we talk about, dressing polished and dressing professional, person's like, no, but I don't want to wear a suit. That's not my thing. And we all wouldn't show up and dress the same way. And that's totally fine. What you have to do is pay attention to the environment that you're going into. So we know right now a lot of companies may be switching to a more casual dress code, right? But casual, you have to understand what casual means. Casual for you should not mean you showing up in your sweatpants to work. Like, I'm sorry, for me, that's not acceptable, right? Casual, for you can be casual and comfortable at the same time, but at the same time be able to give that message and say that, hey, I am here to do business. I have an interest in not only how I present myself, but I am capable as well of doing the job. So you have to look at your environment and then tailor your wardrobe accordingly, and making sure that you are standing the test of time and really getting those engagements and building those conversations and having yourself present whenever there's a conversation of who should we hire, who should we give this promotion to. And that's something that comes from the way you show up.
And Gavin, he's on Oahu. He's over there in Hawaii. He says, I'm all over the dry fit polo shirts with Hawaiian tribal prints, slacks, and dress shoes at work. And that's aloha casual, right? That's what we call aloha casual. There's aloha crisp, which is kind of like the shirt I have on with slacks and
Yeah.
shoes. But Gavin, I'm also into those dry fits, so we're gonna have to get together, brother, after the show, and you tell me where to get it so I can get some myself. But it's an environment thing, right?
Yeah.
Over on the island, there is Aloha Crisp, there is a business casual, there is so they kind of mix it, So
Yeah.
instead of business casual, it's called Aloha Casual. Aloha Crisp is business, right? And
Yeah.
so you're talking about environments, you're talking about timing, you're talking about organizational standards. So earlier I told you that I was part of a company, my first 2 years out of the military, where I was the only one that wore a suit in the company. This includes the CEO.
Yeah.
I was the only one, and and most of the people wore flip flops, shorts, and a t-shirt all year long, because obviously we're in Florida. Now, when it got a little cold, they would switch to jeans and a
Yeah.
sweater, but there was no suit outside of mine. But I did that because that was my standard. I did not. I did not bring down my standard for the company's sake. But after a while, let me not wear a suit and somebody not say, "What is going on? Did something happen?"
Exactly. I mean, we had this conversation backstage, and I thought it was quite interesting, right? And a conversation that needed to continue here. It because when you set your standard, you get to determine how you want to be addressed. You get to determine how, what impact you want to make. You get to determine what your personal brand message is going to be. Now, for some persons may say, oh, but you're in a casual environment. Why are you the only one dressing in a suit? There's two parts to it. I always say to dress appropriately for the environment that you're in, but always dress a level up. If a suit felt comfortable to you, that was who you are, that was your personal brand, and you're also building to something beyond the company in which you would have worked. Then you know that this is the way I need to show up because I'm thinking 4 or 5 years ahead and the connection and the business that I'm trying to grow. So you are showing up as that person, which is important. And, giving what you said, when you don't show up, and we see that happening when we're building personal brands in the social media space. If you're telling your audience this is what you're going to do and you do that consistently, that's what they come to expect from you. And if you go anywhere contrary to that, everyone is like, okay, what is happening? Because now you have defined who you are to them, and that's what they expect to see every single day. So when you deviate from that, it's a matter of questioning, what's happening. And if you're working in a company as maybe a middle level and you have upper management looking at you, right? They're going now, oh, are you no longer happy with working here, right? Because it's signaling and sending certain messages about you that as an employer, they may, looking at it and be like, okay, what's happening? How can we get you back if you're not happy? How can we work on that? So I thought that was an interesting thing where you said that you wore suits despite that wasn't necessarily the environment that you were in.
Well, well, the way I saw it was I was tied into the C-suite. So I was an executive advisor. I was in all of the C-suite conversations.
Yeah.
I was advising every one of the C-suite members. But I had the flexibility to go all the way down to the brand new hire. And so, when you hold a position like that of influence on
Yep.
a C-suite and also influence throughout the company, you want them to understand that there's a level that outside of this company, the world standards is. And so, in a C-suite environment, typically, that's why they kind of like dub them the suits, right? They say
Yeah.
the suits, right? The suits, and there's a reason for that. um for whatever reason it may be for any particular person, but I want people to understand that this is not your all here, right? You're going to transition from here, you're going to go to another place, and this is the standard that you're going to see. And being that type of person that was consistently wearing a suit, it brought some level of comfortability from the people to address me. They would address me before they would address any of the other C-suite.
I think it's not just about, because when we think about executive presence, right? Because that's basically what it is, and you're
Right.
creating your personal brand around that. You can as I mean, we'll have some person saying, yeah, you wear a suit, but then you may not be capable, you may not be this. But it's a package that those around you are looking at. How are you presenting yourself? Are you approachable? Or you find some persons will wear a suit and they're like, they built this wall around them and they're so standoffish and they have this very peaceful persona about them. But even though you're wearing a suit, I think what happened, it was just a case of you still being relatable. You still having that ease where they're like, okay, this is not necessarily how we envision someone wearing a suit will operate. And in terms of just looking at you and be like, oh wow, you're not like the typical man in a suit, right? And this is where I always talk about authenticity, right? Authenticity. When it comes to creating your personal style, you have to define what that is. You have to look at, okay, if you're wearing something that distracts from you, right? Distracts from your inner confidence, then you're not being authentic. Then you're not allowing your authentic self to come out. So whether or not you're wearing a suit or in your environment, in your personal style, being dressy casual, that is your style and that's what you have adopted. Then you're allowing your inner confidence to come out, and you relate to people better. You engage in conversations better. You just feel great about yourself, and people will gravitate to you within that space.
Yeah, and I think that that was the case. The reason why they did come to me is because the suit didn't make me, right? I was
Exactly.
making the suit. And that's the
Exactly.
difference. The difference between what you wear and how you wear it, and the things behind it, right? The
Yep.
person makes the clothes. And if the clothes is making you, you losing out because you're getting used as a
Exactly.
tool. Yeah.
Exactly. This is why it's important to start with, who are you, right? Because it's not about the clothes. It's not about the clothes. If you're wearing, let's say, for instance, you're thinking that to show up in a more powerful way, you have to go and wear brands or you have to wear a suit, then you're buying that, but that's not who you are, right? You have to wear clothing that's in a line with who you are as an individual. That's why that internal work, that self-reflection part of it is the most important part, because once you get that down packed, then you know exactly what clothes you need to buy to enhance who you are as an individual. So it's not about the clothes, but it's who you are that really determines what you buy, what you wear, and if it's appropriate.
So we're talking about leadership,
Yeah,
and specifically, you mentioned something like, if you're buying it so that you could feel a certain way, right? Then that when you don't wear it, then what do you feel like? Yeah,
exactly.
it's one of those things that you have to. Uh, the clothes should complement you. that you should be coming out all over that stuff. Um,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
and and I have a question in terms of leadership, because there are some people, and you mentioned this earlier too, that wear it but are not, right.
Yeah.
You might wear the C-suite wardrobe, but there's no way that you're that person. And then when you get them outside of the office, they crumble, right. They almost living a facade. They're living their life through their wardrobe.
Exactly. They're just kind of like trying to use, like, oh, I have to, in order to show up as whatever they want to show up as, these are the pieces, and that will help me. But it's not like that. There's a two examples that I like to use where you see there's a very old one and a very recent one. So Margaret Thatcher, if you remember, she was called the Iron Lady, but she
Mm-mm.
had, because of the way that she dealt with making her voice heard, her opinion, and how she managed, parliament, her, management style, and how she got things done, she was nicknamed that way. But she carried herself as such a soft, such a feminine woman. And I remember her making a speech that when she declared herself, like, adopted the name as the Iron Lady, she made this speech that I'm standing in my red gown and I'm declaring, I'm paraphrasing here, so no one say that I'm saying it wrong, I'm just paraphrasing, but she was standing in a red gown, and here's it, she is making a speech to parliament, and basically the leader of men. And that's what she did, even though they nicknamed her because of the way she went about her work, as in she was very methodical, very, very precise, very, like how she did things and how she wanted policies to be passed. But at the same time, she did not try to look like the men in the room. She wore exactly and dressed exactly who she was as a person. So her management style was totally different from what you may think that a woman like that will show up in that powerful way. It's like, no, she embraced her femininity and really say, okay, this is who I am. I'm a woman. This is what I love, and I'm going to wear that. The other example that I have is when we think of the former First Lady, Michelle Obama. It's like, look at the way she dressed then and the way she dressed now, just transitioning through that period and growing and realizing that, okay, there is more to me. And how can I define? There's a quote that she said, and she's talking about defining herself for herself instead of having the media and having anyone define who she is. All right. And that's what you have to do as an individual, is define for yourself who you are, what you want to wear, and not allow anyone else to define it for you.
Yeah, I'm. You talking about that, and I'm just envisioning in my head. Yeah, I could wear a suit to breakfast. That's me. That's who I am. I
Yeah.
I could wear a suit. I also can, and most people that see my videos on here on LinkedIn, they see I wear my Success to You T-shirts, and I got a whole lot of them, every color, and so I wear those things, and so you'll either catch me in a Hawaiian shirt, a Success to You T-shirt, or full on blown three-piece suit. It's
Yeah,
one of
because
those things,
you've
right?
defined what you have defined, and that's it. You have to look at all areas of your life, right? Because what you will wear on to a business meeting with a client is not necessarily what you may wear to, yes, you just said you wear your suit to breakfast, but generally speaking, it's not something that you wear to breakfast, right?
Right,
So when
right.
you're trying to look at defining your personal style and what that is and finding your personal style, that's another factor that you have to consider. It's like, what's your lifestyle and how do you want to show up in that space, right? And be consistent with it, and eventually it becomes a part of you, and it's second nature. Like, I'm doing, like, today's Friday, I'm like, okay, we're doing aloha. It's Friday afternoon, people are winding down, ready for the weekend. The way I would dress on a client call is not necessarily how I want to show up in this space, because it's a little bit more relaxed. But at the same time, I still want to maintain certain elements of myself, which is I'm going to wear that bright color. The way I accessorize my outfit is like, I still have elements of that, but it's in a way appropriate for the occasion and just going with the theme and everything. So it's kind of like When you assess your lifestyle and then you know what your personal style is and you develop it in such a way, and then you start buying the pieces for it, then it makes it easier for you to show up in these different areas of your life.
Well, Sherry's she's joining us all the way from Beverly Hills, and she says you're correct. I love the suit because my father was a tailor by industry, and I adopted the structure. It works for me. I wish my father was a tailor, but but he's not. So, but you just have to appreciate what's going to enhance your life. You have to appreciate it. So it sometimes it's not a suit. So some people
Yes,
have never worn a suit,
exactly.
and they don't need to. I
Agreed.
and what I say about breakfast, I mean, I'm just that comfortable in a suit that I
Yeah.
could, right? I
I, to-
played,
I totally exactly. I totally get you. You're just
yeah,
saying
yeah,
like this is who I am,
right,
right?
right.
And I feel comfortable, but it's not like you're aware to. It's just like this is who I am. So, that's a very important factor is knowing who you are and how you want to show up.
That's amazing. So for leaders that are listening, and what would be a couple of tips that you would give them in terms of using what they have at the moment?
Oh, okay. So first thing I would say it's go into your closet right now and really assess is in terms of the pieces that you have in your closet, is it a true representation of who you are as a person, right? Because a lot of us have pieces in our closet that we either we bought it when it was on sale, or we bought it because it was a trending piece for that season, and it's in the wall, it's in your closet, and you may wear it, but you don't feel quite confident about yourself in it. It feels as though you're putting on a facade. It feels as though you're itching in your clothing because it's like, it's so uncomfortable. So the first thing that I would say is just to go through that closet and just remove those pieces, because you have to clear, like anything else, anything in your life. If there are things in your life that's not contributing to the success of your well-being and your career and your profession, then you have to remove them, right? And it's the same thing with your closet. Remove those pieces. So the things that you have remaining in your closet now, it's like, how do I want to put together myself in these pieces? How do I want to show up? What are some of the occasions that I need to show up for? And how can I rework the pieces? I am all for reworking the pieces. It was taboo at some point, when we talked about fashion, that you couldn't rewear an outfit, like you had to wear it once because you didn't want anybody else to see you, and after you wear it, that was it. No, we're not doing that anymore, right? We're not doing that. If it's 10 pieces in your closet, you have to wear them. I encourage you to wear them. I encourage you to find new ways of styling them, find new techniques of styling it. For instance, I'm just an example, like this is who I am. I love, if I'm going to wear a scarf like this, which is like super small, I like to add a little bit of hardware to it, right? This helps me kind of like jazz it up and kind of like not make it feel as though I'm just wearing a scarf. It's like I'm accessorizing my outfit. I'm adding a little bit more of my personality to it. So kind of like think about the way you get dressed and you put together outfits in that way. Is it authentic to you? That is very, very, very crucial. Is it authentic to you? And how can what messages is it sending? Is it in alignment with the message that you want? If it's a case where you're saying it doesn't matter if you're wearing a suit or you're wearing jeans, or you're in a casual environment, understanding the message that you want to send, and just looking at it to see if that's the message that what you're wearing is sending is like a very important factor of that executive presence, and ensuring that your appearance is contributing to your development and the success that you want, and able to influence persons, because that's what you want in a leadership position. Building your personal brand, just managing others, you want to ensure that you're not only sending the right message, but you're able to, if you have to close a deal, you're sending the right message. Your style is what's going to get you in that door. Your style is what your parents, let me put it that way, because sometimes when I say style, people think it's oh, it's the clothes. It's like, no, your appearance, your overall, that's grooming. That's the way that your clothes fit. That's the colors that you wear. Is it sending the right message? Is it allowing you to get into the door?
Yeah, I'm happy that you just mentioned grooming, because it has to all come together, right? It
Yes.
just can't be one sided. It just can't be a brand new suit and you're all disheveled, right? You haven't got a nice haircut if you're that flavor, if you need it, because some people don't need a haircut,
Yeah,
right? But if you can't have one thing. It all has to complement each other, and come into one final story. Basically, when you're talking about dress, what's the story that you want people to
exactly.
come away from, right?
Exactly, and that's an important factor, and this is why I brought it up and I talked about appearance instead of style, right? Because appearance covers every single aspect of you, from your head down to your toe, and whatever. When we talk about authentic, whatever is authentic to you. So if we're talking about your hair, how do you want to wear your hair? And not, being, your hair is not defined by how you think society should have, you should wear your hair, but wear it more authentic to you, right down to your shoes. Is it clean? Are you wearing shoes that, when I look at it, it looks like, okay, you need to take it to a shoemaker to get it adjusted, or get it, kind of look at all those little details, because that's what make that appearance so impactful, right? It doesn't matter what you decide to wear. Once it fits well, once it's functional, and once it is clean, once it's streamlined in a way that I can see you put some effort in yourself, those are the things that you have to keep in mind, that's going to allow you to say, hire me, or give me that business, or I am capable of it. It speaks, and what do you want it to say about you? And this is not about, and I this is not about, when I say, what do you want to say about you, I know we always get this pushback. I don't know if you've gotten it before, where it's like, oh, it shouldn't matter what you wear, right? People should respect you for you. But I'm all fine with that. We shouldn't be judging people on their appearance. However, it's something that we do, even with, when we go to the grocery store to buy an apple. We don't just go into the store and pick up the apple. We want to get the best apple for us. And it's the same thing with when you present yourself. People want to be able to know that your level of expertise is not just external, but it's internal as well, and vice versa.
Yeah, because look, just the example that you give at the supermarket, there's a standard, let's just say tomatoes. There's a standard tomato that's gonna come to my house, right? And I got a whole box, maybe 30, 40 tomatoes to pick from.
Yeah,
They're all tomatoes, they're all red, but they're all not made the same. And
yeah,
so when I go stretch my hand into it, I go through a selection process. We do that all the time. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with it. And you're going to be selected. That's just the way it is. That's why they call
exactly.
it interview process. There's always a process of selection. Even in the military, there's a selection process for those that are going to make the next rank or get
Yeah,
promoted, right? So that's something that's already part of the system. And you have to understand that maybe you don't want to have to go head to head with somebody else, but that's the system we live in. And so when I go grabbing these tomatoes, I don't want a squishy tomato. If I wanted a squishy tomato, I get me a can of tomato sauce, right? It's just one of those things. So I'm looking for a pretty plump, hard tomato, nothing like green, but something that I can slice through, because in my head, I know the purpose of why I'm picking this tomato. And so when you have an organization, or you have a group of people that are making a selection process, they know already what they want to pick, because they already see this person doing the job that they have for them in the future. And it's just part of life. And so when you talk about attire and presenting yourself, because I will tell you, there's some people that show up with a three-piece suit, comb, boom, boom, boom. The next day they got hired and they can't do the job.
yeah. I mean, we know that that happens, right? And when you're talking there, there's a larger conversation on that where we know that people, being discriminated against based on their parents, right? So I want to make sure that I highlight this, that no one should be discriminated against or lose an opportunity because of the way they present themselves. When I talk to my clients and I work with my clients on developing their personal style and presenting themselves in a manner that's equal to their level of expertise and where they want to go, it's about defining their personal style for themselves. Like, what does that look like for you? So even though you may be interviewing at a company that has a dress code that says traditional professional, right? You're not walking in there looking like everyone, which is the black and white, basic black and white outfit, but you are defining what that traditional looks like for you, right? So I want to make that clear. When there's a difference between um, you know, just towing the line and organizations having these policies in place and just giving you whatever, and you being able to define your personal style for you, and knowing that whatever you choose, not only are you dressing appropriately for the environment, like you adhering to the policies, but at the end of the day, when you look at yourself in the mirror, this is 100% who I am.
And that whole process there, I've never showed up to an interview, and I've been to many since I've gotten out, that I was hired and I did not dress how I felt like I needed to dress. I didn't dress for them. I
Exactly.
dressed according to how I felt I wanted to present myself. And look, not that many people go in there with pocket squares. Not that many people go in there with little but I just showed them who I was. And hey, look, I don't know if it was just that a combination of a great resume and a great presence. I was fortunate and got hired almost every time I did interview. But
But that's what you want to do, though. You want to show up and show exactly who you are. That's the differentiator. I need to see exactly who you are as a person, and not like a carbon copy of what you think, right? And I think that's where most of like the misconception comes in when we talk about appearance and making sure that you're dressed appropriately. Most persons think that, at least the clients that I work with, they're thinking that, oh, I don't want to dress that way. And that is totally fine. You have to decide for yourself what that looks like. Yes, if you work for a company that has a particular dress code in mind, you have to keep that in mind. However, you get to define what those pieces are, what those pieces are that you're going to wear. If everyone is showing up in black and white and you are that person that wants to wear pink, how can we add that to your wardrobe where you feel comfortable, but you're also showing up as yourself? That is the most important thing, is letting anyone, whether or not you're doing business with them or whether or not you're going through an interview process, letting them know as soon as you walk in that door who you are as a person.
what are some common missteps that you see in people presenting themselves that you normally address as clients come to you?
Oh, the biggest one, especially when clients that are interviewing or clients within the legal field, is that, because I was told that when I was growing up, that if you go into an interview or you're working I worked in banking for 15 plus years, it was that black and white suit combination, that gray and white suit combination, that navy blue and white
Hmm.
suit combination. And it was never like the structured, very tailored pieces. It was like the basic of basics, right? Because that was the wardrobe that we were given, especially as women, to wear, because it was like a mirror image of what the males were wearing at the time. So I have like a lot of clients they'll come to me and they'll be like, okay, this is the dress code, but I don't want to dress like that anymore. I feel as though I am not able to basically show who I am within the, within this space. And that's usually when they come to me, when they're ready to shed that uniform that they were given and more, and adopt more of their authentic self. So that's the first thing, is just adopting a uniform that's not them. That's the first thing that happens. And the other misconception is that, okay, I have to, if I want to be successful, or I want to be a leader, or I want to be a business owner and building my personal brand, that there is this box of what professional looks like, and what you should wear. So every time I talk about personal style, and about talking about dressing, polishing, professional, and looking like an expert based, just supporting your expertise, most persons think, oh, I have to wear a suit, I have to dress up. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to wear a suit if that's not who you are. You don't have to wear slacks if that's not who you are. It's how can we make the pieces that you gravitate to? You may be a jeans person. Instead of just putting on some ripped jeans where your butt is hanging out or it's dragging on the floor, how can we get you more tailored pieces, more fitted pieces that have more of where it's fitted, it's streamlined, and it's looking like it's made for your body?
Yeah, that's so important to get something that is for your body. You know that most people try to get into something that it's not, and there goes the mishaps, right? So where do you see the people making the biggest advances when it comes to wardrobe in terms of capitalizing? Where do you see the most capitalization on wardrobe?
I think that, especially with COVID, somewhat has been the catalyst of this. It's been good and bad, but I think the good thing is I see there's a direction and there's an opportunity for that conversation of inclusivity, and that conversation of us being able to decide for ourselves what that looks like. And that dress code, that strict dress code that some corporations have, you're seeing that break away a little bit. And it's a situation where you can now, like, they're encouraging you to show up as your most authentic self. Like, who are you as that person, but still keeping in mind the policies, and still keeping in mind how the company, the image of the company is how you present yourself. So I kind of see that as one of the ways in which we're really going to be growing. In terms of like my clients that I'm working with, I'm seeing more of them saying, okay, I need to be me. I need to be comfortable in who I am. And for years, I adopted whatever wardrobe that I was given. So now it's a chance for me to define and say, this is what success looks like for me. This is how I want to present myself. This is the message that I want to send. And so I'm going to show up this way, and trying to redefine for themselves what that means, like, what professional looks like, what are some of the things that they feel comfortable in, and ensuring that the audience and those persons that come around them can get a true understanding of who they are through the clothes that they wear.
That's so important, and thank you for sharing that. uh, folks, that if you've been listening to this live, or you're catching it on a replay, you're gonna chuckle at my facial expressions on, on my side, but that's all right. The importance is that you get the gist of this conversation. The conversations around attire and what's working and what's not working. But Solita, if they wanted to get a hold of you, speak about these style issues. Maybe someone's having a struggle in on the style portion of their life. How would they do that? And yeah, just let us know.
Oh, yes. So thank you very much for the opportunity and for being here. And as you said, for those who watching the replay or watching the live, we sincerely apologize. Technology decided not to work with us today, but hey, grab a drink of choice, whatever you like, and really listen to it. So this is more of, I would say this is more of a listening podcast, like you listen instead of instead of seeing our faces. So I hope that helps, because the content itself is still there. The content is still valuable, to persons listening. So thank you very much, as I said, for the opportunity, and for anyone that's let me rephrase that, because it's not just anyone that I work with. I work with women entrepreneurs and professionals who are growth minded, they're growth focused, they're ready to create some changes in their life, and they're tired, like super tired of wearing clothing that's not authentic to them, right? You're uninspired by the things that are in your wardrobe. You're not sure as to how to dress your body type, like that's been a major struggle of yours, and you're not really sure as to where to shop, what to buy, and how to show up as your most authentic self, how to put together outfits that truly represents who you are, building a personal brand around who you are as an individual, and allowing your clothes to help you, in supporting who you are and showing up as your best yourself. Then I invite you to, you can private message me here on LinkedIn. This is where I spend most of my time. So you can, send me a message here and say, hey, Solita, I need your help. And we can take it from there. You can also schedule a style consultation with me. That's my entry point, where we discuss, what are some of your needs, what are some of your goals, where do you see yourself in next year, 2 years, and how does your style, how would your style help you to get these things that you want in life, and having more clarity, of course, around building up your confidence, not just through your clothes, but also how you feel on the inside, and making sure that that comes out on the outside. So that's how you work with me. We start at that entry point level, and then of course I'll be having a live discussion on Monday where I talk about my VIP day. So where we go through, once you identify and you're saying to me, hey, you're raising your hand, hey, I'm ready, I need to make this change, then we can talk about having a VIP day where we go through in building and finding your personal style for you. So thanks again for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Folks, reach out to Solita so that you can get on the right side or right of attire, and make the best of your wardrobe. Solita, thank you once again for being with me. Everybody that's been with us tonight, thank you so much. I see Hawaii is representing. I see California is representing. So thank you for being with us. And we will see each other again next Friday when we have another guest. We talk about leadership and something. But thank you for being with us. Have a great evening and weekend.